Any useful query language needs to select documents. Let's learn how this works in Nickel and take a tour of Query Workbench along the way. So you're going to select all attributes or specified or nested attributes from a named bucket. Overall, this works very much like SQL, except that you are selecting by the attributes of documents in a bucket, rather than columns in a table. You choose what to select, whether that means all attributes or specified attributes. You can also limit your results to a specified number, which is useful during development, and as you'd expect, queries are terminated by a semicolon. But you're working with a fundamentally different data model. Now, an RDBMS confines data to homogeneous tables where all fields are present, though some might be null. On the other hand, in an engagement database, you have heterogeneous JSON documents, all residing generally in a single bucket. And each of these documents may have different root and nested attributes, as well as missing, null, or unvalued attributes, each of which is a distinct state. We'll look at operators to handle all of this in the lessons ahead. Now, queries return more than just results. When viewed from the command line or via SDK results, you get a unique ID for each request, a signature reflecting the request structure, the results, a success flag, and metrics regarding timing and result count. Now again, from the command line, your results are nested in this overall JSON document as individual objects within a JSON array. When working with all of this via SDK, these results are serialized into native objects as appropriate for the language of that SDK. If you're working in Query Workbench, this additional data is visualized for you. You can also choose how you'd like your output displayed, whether as JSON, in tabular form, or as a tree. You can also display the underlying query plan visually or as plain text, and we'll look at that in a future lesson. You can view, recall, and delete prior queries you've run. You can examine the flavor or general structure of documents within each bucket, along with whether and how that bucket has been made queryable with full or partial indexing. You can import and export queries. You can also export query results. And you can toggle between the Query Workbench, which we see here, and the Query Monitor, which is a tool to provide performance statistics during long-running queries. Alternately, you can point the CBQ command line tool at any node in your cluster, provided you have the necessary credentials to access that node and query the bucket you specify. You can find CBQ in these locations depending on your operating system. So what have we learned? Well, Nickel supports select, from, where, having, join, and a whole lot more you're probably familiar with. The difference is that you're selecting attributes in documents from a bucket, not columns from tables. The response you get back is a JSON document with a request ID, signature, status, some metrics, and results as an array of document objects. In Query Workbench, these results can be displayed as JSON, or as a table, or as a tree. The Query Workbench will keep track of your query history. It also analyzes and displays document flavors in each bucket. It supports query import and export, and also exports query results. You can also access much of this behavior from the CBQ command line tool. In the lab for this lesson, you'll play around with selecting documents and limiting results and get used to all of this through your own fingertips, both in Query Workbench and, if you choose, in CBQ as well. When you're done with that, come on back. We've got a lot more to come.